Good morning, everyone. I want to encourage you today with Psalms 91, verse 1 through 7, and I'll read from the New Living Translation. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. I want you to know everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. In this day of uncertainty, we need God's protection in the midst of danger. The Bible says we will have trials and tribulations, but God promised to help us in the midst of it all. He is our shelter when we are afraid. God's protection will carry you through all the dangers and fears of life. We can trade our fears today for faith in God as we dwell with him. Hebrews 11:1. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we live by believing and not by seeing. Surely God will deliver you and protect you from the deadly disease. Surely he will cover you with his feathers and shelter you with his wings. Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. God is always there to help, provide safety and security and peace. God's power and his victory is certain. He will not fail to rescue you. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Consider the 3 Hebrew boys in Daniel 3:15 through 28. I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I have made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my power? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up. Nebuchadnezzar was so furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego that his face became distorted with rage. He commanded that the furnace be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he ordered some of the strongest men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up and threw them into the furnace, fully dressed in their pants, turbans, robes, and other garments. And because the king, in his anger, had demanded such a hot fire in the furnace, the flames killed the soldiers as they threw the 3 men in. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, securely tied, fell into the roaring flames. But suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace? Yes, your majesty, we certainly did, they replied. Look, Nebuchadnezzar shouted, I see 4 men unbound, walking around in the fire unharmed. And the 4th looks like a god. Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officials, officers, governors, and advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their head was singed, and their clothing was not scorched. They didn't even smell of smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their God. These 3 Hebrew boys made a decision to be faithful to their God, regardless of the circumstances. You must trust God to deliver you from all danger. You got to know for yourself that the God you serve is able to save you from any danger. But if it is God's will that we should die, we must choose now whom we will serve. Let us not bow down to the gods of fear and doubt. There was no hiding place, no shelter, and no help in sight for these 3 Hebrew boys. In addition, the fiery furnace was turned up 7 times hotter. It was so hot, it killed the men that threw them into it. I can see how this can be a fearful situation for the people today, even for the believer. They fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. The king was amazed when he looked in and said, Didn't we throw in 3 men? I see 4 men. They are not tied up, and they are walking around. God showed up in the midst of this impossible situation. And I assure you, he will show up for you today. I encourage you to trust God, and everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. May the Lord bless and keep you all.